as you can imagine, the number one business on Mishawaka Avenue, Dixie Cream Donuts.
Oh, yes.
Man.
But that was your favorite, or you think that was everybody's favorite?
Well, it should be everybody's. It was mine for sure.
I gotcha, yeah.
And I can't imagine who would not consider that in their top 10.
Yes.
But, and that was, just across the avenue and one short block down.
From your house?
From my house. Okay. On the way to school.
Yes.
We were able to buy and eat hot glazed donuts every day if we wanted to. It was a thing of beauty.
You heard that there. That is my father, Joel Emery, talking about how while growing up in River Park in the 1960s, there was everything a family would need right along Mishawaka Avenue, including those warm, tasty Dixie Cream Donuts that he had to walk past every day on the way to nooner school. More of that later, but first, thank you for listening to another episode of Round the Bend Now and Then. My name is Matt Emery, and I'm a local history nerd. My main mission in this podcast, as well as other Round the Bend material, is to create engaging content that shares how intertwined the South Bend and Mishawaka area's past is to our present. In the podcast, I interview local leaders, business owners, and community members to help tell their stories, because their stories help tell the story of South Bend and Mishawaka. This episode is a special one in that I get to meet with my father, Joel Emery, as he shares his memories about growing up in 1960s River Park. Over the years, my parents have shared multiple stories about growing up in River Park, a neighborhood that is on the far east side of South Bend, Indiana. I have vivid memories from my childhood. While out running errands, my dad would purposefully drive past his old neighborhood spots and retell varied stories from his childhood. Along those lines, anytime River Park is mentioned on the Facebook local history pages, many folks my parents' age nostalgically comment on what it was like to grow up there in the 1960s. Their comments mirror what neighborhoods were like at that time in our country, absolutely bursting at the seams with kids. Kids born in the tens of millions after soldiers returned from World War II. The baby boom. I've always planned on doing an episode about River Park, as there is so much local history involved in its story. From its early days as farmland with slaughterhouses, to it being incorporated into River Park, Indiana, its own town, when the farmland was subdivided into neighborhoods, and soon after this, it was annexed into the city of South Bend in 1911. From that time on, the neighborhood grew into pretty much its own self-sustained town within a town, with its own post office, library, grocery stores, school, pharmacy, hardware stores, streetcar up until the late 1930s, and even its own movie theater. It is still a major neighborhood in the city of South Bend today, home to almost 7,000 residents. But it would take several episodes to really be able to tell the complete story of the neighborhood, so I thought it'd be neat to interview my dad and focus on just a slice of its history, growing up in River Park in the 1960s. So a big thank you to Joel Emery for joining us and sharing your memories of growing up in good old RP in the 1960s. Before we dive into the interview, I want to thank our episode sponsors. Thank you to MT Box Computers on Mishawaka Avenue, right in the heart of River Park. They're located in one of the historic commercial buildings that we talk about on this episode. They're local, and they're here to fit you or your small business's technological needs. Thank you to the Portage Township Trustee Office. I'm telling you folks, you need to follow Jason and his team on social media. They share a whole bunch of helpful resources and information that may help you or a loved one. You can find a link to their website and their Facebook page in the show notes. Lastly, as I've said since it's opened, you have to check out the Mishawaka Historical Museum. If you like local history, there is no reason why you shouldn't stop by the museum at 121 South Main Street in Mishawaka, Indiana. As always, thank you to the Mishawaka Historical Museum for all of your support. And now, me and my dad talk growing up in 1960s River Park. Thank you for joining us on the podcast. We appreciate it. We're sitting here down with my father, Joel Emery. And so I think it's I think it's awesome that you're coming here to join us, and we're going to talk about River Park, where you grew up.
Well, that's a very easy subject to talk about, Matt.
Most definitely. For as long as I can remember, you've told us kids stories about your childhood in River Park and how awesome it was. And I remember as a young kid, you even taking us on car rides, driving around, from what I recall, in that 1978 yellow Mustang, driving around River Park, and you would just point out different businesses you used to visit, spots you used to hang out at. Do you remember it all, driving Rachel and I, my sister, around?
I sure do.
Yeah.
You bet. Yep. I can't drive even my grandkids around the area now without saying, hey, that's where Nana lived, or that's where I grew up.
Yeah.
That's where Nooner used to be. The whole thing.
Yeah. But so that just stands out in my mind. And as I drive around with my kids now, I do the same thing, of course. Anytime River Park is mentioned on the Facebook history pages, it gets a lot of nostalgic comments, especially from folks around your age, the baby boomer generation who grew up there. And they love sharing just stories about good old RP. So then, moving forward, my sister Rachel, your daughter, got you Storyworth, which is basically an outline that literally helps you write a book about your life, your kids, your grandkids. It provides varied prompts to write a chapter about, like, for example, what was your mom like? What cars did you have in high school? Questions like that. And you spent quite an amount of time writing a book about your life. And it was printed and published, and we each got a copy of it.
I sure did. And that was an incredible gift. And what it did was it forced me to write the stories, many stories I always wanted to write about, but never had the gumption to.
Yes.
Some of them I was almost afraid to write because I didn't know if I'd be able to, but it worked out beautifully. Every night for basically a year, after supper, I would just sit down with the MacBook that I bought for that reason. I mean,
literally,
I had already been retired, didn't need a computer. I had my iPhone, what could be better? But thanks to you and Rachel, who taught me the ins and outs of the MacBook, which is quite different from a PC. There's no doubt. It was a great experience, and it taught me that you can do it.
Yes,
you can write it. And you've got plenty of time to edit it. And I always thought that I would keep it up after the book was published. Wrong. I need to get back into it, but it was a great experience.
Well, I tell you, this is different than most authors that I've interviewed in that I'm advertising for their book also, and I'll put their link in the book link in the show notes. And folks, this is a limited edition, a collection of life stories by Joel Emery. So you won't find this book on Amazon, but I'm sure for a good price, we'd sell it to you.
You are correct. Yes. Yeah.
Well, and like you said, you'd spend just about a year writing the book, and throughout that year, you would, text us different things and just different, hey, I'm working on this now, and it was just really neat to see the process. But then, I think it was Christmas time, once it had been officially published, I think Rachel purchased each of us kids a book, and I read the book, and there was a chapter titled, "What was the neighborhood you grew up in like?" And I was like, oh, Lord, I knew where this was headed. And the first two sentences that you wrote in this chapter sums it up. River Park was a great place to grow up. It was our town within a town and had everything a kid growing up in the 60s would want and more. So you were born in 1955 and you moved to River Park in 1962. Do you have any initial memories when you first moved there?
Oh, I sure do.
Okay.
Yep. I mean, there was no negatives about moving there.
Okay.
We had, a few years earlier, we had moved to Fort Wayne. Mom and Dad had a record store. A few years later, water damage and the economy ruined that for them. Came back here, lived where my grandpa, great-grandpa, had lived for a few months after he passed away. in 1962.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Mom and Dad wanted to get a house.
Of course.
They found this house.
Right.
Corner of Mishawaka Avenue and 32nd Street.
Nice.
And the rest is really history. It worked out very, very well.
That's awesome. Talk to us just a little bit about the house that you grew up in. You just said it was on 32nd and Mishawaka Avenue. Talk to us a little bit about it.
Yep, the northeast corner.
Mm-hmm.
And it was different than many houses in River Park because, oddly enough, it was a bi-level.
Okay.
To get to the first floor, you walked up 7 steps. That was the back door. To get downstairs,
right,
from outside, it was 6 or 7 steps down.
Gotcha.
That basement was formerly a business called Naomi Monday, an accounting firm. It had an area, a small reception area,
right,
and 2 offices and a larger office area, and a half bath.
That's wild. Well,
Exactly.
it goes with the Mishawaka Avenue.
You bet.
Not theme, but there's a lot of commercial up and down the avenue mixed in with
many
residential.
homes. There were just 2-3 doors down was a house that then was a doctor's office.
Yeah.
And that's very common along the avenue.
Within the chapter, you wrote, those of us who grew up in River Park had 3 common bonds: family, friends, and John F. Nooner School. The original Nooner School, not the Nooner that's there now. We're talking about the original Nooner built in the early 1920s that stood there until about the late 1990s. You attended there through 8th grade. When you think of the original Nooner School in the 1960s, in your childhood, what comes to mind?
Well, it was great. I mean, Nooner School was an old school.
Yes.
No air conditioning. This was a school when you walked inside on a sunny day, you couldn't see a thing. It was so dark inside. And conversely, when you walked outside on a sunny day,
still blinded.
Blinded by the light. Exactly. And it's funny with the air conditioning, we survived.
Of course.
We opened the windows.
Yeah.
It worked pretty well. Well, there was one room that was air conditioned.
Okay.
And that was the principal's office.
Well, of course.
And that was a window unit.
Of course.
And we all know you must take care of the principal.
Of course. We know that.
Yeah. And it's kind of funny. I have only fond memories of Nooner School. Started there in 2nd grade, went through the 8th.
Yeah.
I even have fond memories of the 3 times I got swatted by the principal in that air-conditioned office. Even those memories are fond now. They're fun to talk about.
Yeah. Who's the principal? Mr. Weddle? Was that his name?
Mr. Weddle.
Yeah.
Yep. He started the year I started there, 62.
Okay. Is he different as me as a principal, do you think?
Yes. However, he did what you do. I mean, he donned the gym shorts and the jersey to go play basketball in the faculty versus the 7th, 8th grade team. So
that's
he
cool.
Played an active part, but nothing like the way you are. We didn't interact with him much. My main interaction was, I guess when I was being a bad boy.
You're getting swatted, getting paddled.
Yes, yep.
Did his paddle have the holes in it?
I don't remember that it did.
Okay.
Others may claim it did, but I don't remember that.
Oh, I gotcha.
The number of teachers that lived in the neighborhood.
Okay.
I mean, I had living down the street from me was Mrs. Hartzer. I never had her, but she had a few kids. I think a set of twins. She was a teacher. There was a Mrs. Mosier, I think lived on Wall and 31st.
Okay.
Mrs. Fritz lived up.
And they all taught at Nooner.
Yeah, they all taught at Nooner. Mrs. Fritz lived up on 32nd Street. Mr. Swank, the shop teacher, over on 34th in a home that he designed and had built, of course.
Because why not? Of course.
You bet. Mr. Bucklew. Anybody my age could tell you stories that we're not going to talk about.
Okay, Mr.
Mr. Bucklew.
Okay.
He was a social studies teacher.
Okay.
Mr. McKee, one of the best teachers ever,
really?
Taught science and math. I ran around with his son. He had 3 kids for a couple years.
That's nuts. They all lived.
Yeah, and on 31st Street also is a Mr. Ingram, who I think was maybe a shop teacher at Riley or somewhere else. Mary, the police lady, lived a few doors down from me on 32nd Street.
That's wild. I mean, that's a heavy percentage of teachers who live in that neighborhood who teach in that building.
You bet.
And me leading a school building, I understand how a school community runs, and that to me just adds to it being a school community when you have the teachers living in the community.
You bet. Yep.
That's wild.
They sure did.
And you couldn't get away with much.
Right, exactly. Yeah. You bet. Yes, this is the truth.
And now a word from one of our sponsors. I want to talk a minute about the government of Portage Township right here in South Bend. Portage Township trustee Jason Critchlow and his team continue to fight for regular working families of South Bend every single day. And they are getting results. Their work continues to go beyond just providing temporary emergency assistance to families in crisis, which is important for the stability of our community. They have taken on major issues like renters' rights, fighting for the residents of Cedar Glen Apartment Complex. They created a new fire territory to increase public safety. And Portage Township's Health and Eating Initiative, Nourish, is working to increase the health of low-income populations. Trustee Jason is even supporting local public education in a campaign to educate the community by bringing transparency to the local government processes. This year, in partnership with Real Services, Portage Township even opened the area's only permanent senior community center called the Portage Commons at Colfax and William Street in downtown South Bend. Learn more about these services and much, much more at portage-township.com. The link is in the show notes. A heartfelt thank you to Jason and your team for all that you do for our area. In your chapter about the neighborhood you grew up in, you wrote that River Park was a town within a town. And I think that is half the reason why it just, folks have a special, piece in their heart for River Park, because literally anything you wanted was right along Mishawaka Avenue there. Let's just take a moment just to talk about a few of the businesses or the shops or whatever that just pops in your head that was on Mishawaka Avenue in the 60s.
Well, as you can imagine, the number one business on Mishawaka Avenue, Dixie Cream Donuts.
Oh, yes.
Man.
But that was your favorite, or you think that was everybody's favorite?
Well, it should be everybody's. It was mine for sure.
I gotcha, yeah.
And I can't imagine who would not consider that in their top 10.
Yes.
But, and that was, just across the avenue and one short block down.
From your house?
From my house.
Okay.
On the way to school.
Yes.
We were able to buy and eat hot glazed donuts every day if we wanted to. It was a thing of beauty.
Dixie Cream Donuts, when I was a kid, was where the current Frankie's Tacos is at.
Correct. Yes.
That is the same location when you were a kid? Okay.
This was the original Dixie Cream.
Okay.
Southwest corner, 31st and the Avenue.
Okay. Literally just a street over from you guys.
You bet. Yep.
Okay. 31st and the Avenue. So the movie theater is on 30th and the Avenue. So just a little bit east of that then.
Right. One block east of the movie theater and across the street.
Okay. Got it. Do you remember when it moved to the
it would
where
have
it's
been
at now at Frankie's Tacos?
Because I remember taking you and your sister and brother there. I'm going to say it was sometime in the
early 80s, late 70s.
Early 80s.
Okay.
I don't even know if it lasted 10 years.
That's crazy, because that was Dixie Cream Donuts in my childhood was just right there.
You bet.
And it was in a former auto mechanic's garage.
Yep.
And it turned back into that afterwards. And then now Frankie's Tacos bought it, and Frankie's is going to own all of River Park before you know
isn't
it.
That something? Yeah.
They're just spreading. What else on the Avenue?
On the Avenue, of course, would have to be Tasty Freeze.
What was that?
That was, the best comparison would be Dairy Queen.
Oh, okay.
That was, I'm afraid it's a biker bar now, Murphy's.
That was a Tasty Freeze down there.
That was a Tasty Freeze, you bet.
Okay.
A walk up, window on each side, you walk up, it was all glass front. all the way from, ice cream cones
Yeah.
to root beer floats to shakes to slushies.
Okay.
You name it. And that was, I'm going to say 5 blocks
Yeah.
from my house.
Yeah, because that's
blocks.
36th Street-ish.
Yep.
Yeah.
And these are short blocks, not the long blocks like you're heading north-south.
No. So what is now Murphy's Backyard Pub?
You bet.
What I've never been in there. I've been in many bars, but it seems to be that's a tough one right there. And I drive past it frequently. That was just a Tasty Freeze where a lot of kids would just hang out at.
The most innocent of places, you bet. Wow. That was Tasty Freeze.
And you couldn't go inside. It was just walk up.
No, strictly a walk up.
Huh. Yeah. That's crazy. That's wild. Liquor stores, anything like that?
Man. Yeah, right across the street from my house, right across Mishawaka Avenue. I think Mom and Dad were pleased with this, but nevertheless,
normal.
There were, I don't recall there being any other liquor stores in River Park.
There's just one right across the street.
Just that one, yeah. It was called, I think it was called River Park Liquor.
Did you ever go across there to get smokes or anything for your folks?
Yeah, no. We went down to Lamont's, block and a half away.
Okay.
To buy the smokes for my folks. And when we were bribed into doing that, we naturally always got a candy bar out of the deal. So
yeah,
I guess the smoking is bad.
Well,
but it
there's
got
the
us some good
1960s.
candy.
Yes, exactly.
That's for sure.
Speaking of Lamont's, talk to me about that.
It was super. By the time we moved there in March of 62, they no longer had the fountain.
It was a soda fountain.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
They also had that, but they had done some remodeling, I guess.
Okay.
But I hear stories of it. In fact, your mom, I believe, remembers it.
Okay.
As well. But again, Lamont had really everything, all the way from magazines to candy bars. Of course, that was our main purchases there.
Right.
It was candy bars. I suppose we even got pharmaceuticals there when we were sick.
Yeah, well, that's what it was. It was a drugstore, right?
Lamont's
drug and pharmacy store, right?
Yes.
And for those folks, today, if you know where Dave's Pub is at, it's that same building-ish on the avenue.
Exactly.
So it's, I can't think of the street now, but
it would be just to the west of Dave's Pub.
Okay.
And then there's the alley.
Okay.
Or no, let's call that east.
It'll be just east of it because there was another building next to it that's a parking lot now that I think burned down that I found.
It did, yeah. That was a Stagecoach Inn.
Yes.
A bar/restaurant.
Okay.
Known for their Friday night fish.
Did you ever go there?
Never.
No.
But Mom's family did. We never did. But that's that. Yeah.
Okay. River Park Theater. Talk to us.
Man.
It's still standing.
Yes. And I'm so glad that it is. I'm so glad the marquee's still there.
Yes.
The building looks great from the outside still, and that's good.
Uh-huh.
It was the first movie that my brother and I went to without adult supervision.
Do you remember what movie it was?
Yeah, it was Swiss Family Robinson.
Okay. They had all those kids? I think they had a ton of kids.
And they were well, this was one where they had a few kids, but they were shipwrecked on a deserted island.
Okay.
And they ended up fighting the pirates that came by. It was a Disney movie.
Yeah.
Remember coming home from that and telling my dad every scene of it. And he was probably thinking, man, this was a long movie. But
that's neat though.
Yeah. It's funny. The last thing I did before I got rid of our Disney Plus for the TV because I wasn't watching it.
Of course.
Was I literally watched that movie. Swiss Family Robinson was out in 1960. We had seen it in about 62.
Wow.
And then I said, bye-bye Disney Plus.
It's not worth the 10 a month or whatever it is.
Right.
That's crazy. So you, like many kids growing up in that era, literally had a movie theater within a couple blocks from your house.
You bet. 2 blocks.
Insane.
Yep. And if you ask the people my age,
yes,
they would all remember the summer programs.
Okay.
In which you were either a Tuesday or a Wednesday, I think the way it worked, person. You would buy the summer pass
for the movie,
which included
really
about 7 or 8 movies. In each summer, like 4 or 5 of them were the same movie. Jack the Giant Killer, Lad a Dog, Pollyanna. Only needed to sit through that once. I skipped it from years.
Really?
Next year's. And a few others, 5 Weeks in a Balloon. These are all
never heard of them.
Kid movies.
Yeah.
And you would go and the place was filled.
Just kids your age.
You bet. Just raising Cain.
That's wild.
You know, boys.
Yep.
You know, boys in a movie theater.
Yep.
Girls too, maybe.
Yep. But I heard, didn't the owner of the theater, I forgot his name. I know I've read it
Jerry
before.
Vogel.
That's it. He monitored you guys, didn't he?
Oh, we got monitored. Never got in trouble.
Okay.
My parents kind of knew him.
Yeah.
So naturally, well, we were good kids.
Of course.
Anyway, I
as
mean,
a whole.
we were just boys.
Yes.
Boys doing boy things.
Right.
You know.
Right. I just think that's neat that you guys literally had a movie theater right there.
It was great.
Anything you needed right up and along Mishawaka Avenue. It's just wild, you know.
Bet.
And thankfully, like you said, it was a photography company, Borden, I think the name is, who purchased the theater years ago and used it as their photography studio. And they've kept it up. They've kept the outside nice, and it's for sale now. And I'm almost certain I read that it will continue to be for sale because the photographer owners, they're going to be very selective in who they sell it to.
Good.
Which to me just beautiful.
That's good to hear.
And I don't think last year they had the marquee lit up at night. It was cool. I got a few pictures of it. More of the interview in a moment, but first, a word from another one of our sponsors. I want to thank MT Box Computers for helping to support our podcast and our content. Located at 2921 Mishawaka Avenue in South Bend, right in the heart of River Park, MT Box Computers can help your business reduce its cost and increase its productivity. MT Box Computers is a full-service computer and network solution company. Their technicians are certified by industry-leading standards. They work with small and medium-sized businesses in the Michiana area to provide computer-related support, as they not only understand technology, but they also understand the day-to-day needs of small businesses. They strive to find the best solution for your business. Through experience, they have found that most companies have different needs, and those needs require different solutions. They'd love the opportunity to evaluate your business's current technology environment and discuss ways that they can increase your productivity and save you money. Check out their website at mtboxcomputers.com to learn more. A link to their website is in the show notes. And now, back to the episode. Now, the dividing line between River Park and Sunnymead is roughly Potawatomi Park-ish. That's basically it.
Exactly right.
And the park has contributed to the reasons why River Park is so loved over the years, and also our neighborhood, Sunnymead, as well. Just talk to us about Potawatomi Park in the 60s, the zoo, anything that you remember.
I'll tell you, we were down there all the time.
Yeah.
So, I was on 32nd Street. It was on however far that was. We would ride our bikes usually.
Right.
Of course, walk. But the zoo, nothing like it is now.
No.
Not a thing. The Lion House was there.
Yep.
They had a little kind of a shanty-like building with fenced-in outer portions for the poor animals like the coyote and whatnot. With the Lion House, they had maybe a bear next to it in that same building, some monkeys. But the main portion of what is the park now was just this giant fenced-in area where they had a bunch of buffalo. We grew up with buffalo.
Yeah.
They were not odd to us. Kids from River Park, buffaloes were as common as anything.
Because there was no fee to get in the zoo. It was a part of the park. You could just walk right up to them, right?
Walk up. Yep. And the pond that is in the park now, the western boundary of that is as it was back in the day. The eastern part, it used to be much wider than it is now, or longer.
Okay.
And it was accessible. We would bring our fishing poles.
Crazy.
There. Yeah, I mean there were literally crawdads in there.
Yeah.
And there were little like goldfish or what have you in that park. You could drive your car. There was a road all the way around that back park.
Crazy.
You could drive your car, your bike. You had the railroad tracks.
Yep.
And then you had this road.
Uh-huh.
And then you had the tall fence where the buffalo literally roamed.
That is nuts. So the animals were in the enclosure, but the public could walk straight up to their enclosures.
You bet. Yeah.
That is nuts. And when you said Lion House to the folks who have been to the zoo recently, it is that old building in the middle of the zoo.
Exactly.
It was built in the Great Depression era. That is a WPA program built. But that was that's where they kept the big cats, the lions.
You bet. And you could
crazy.
walk behind that as well. So, and I'm sure somebody could correct me on the exact layout,
of
but
course.
You could definitely drive around this big oval.
That is
or ride your
wild.
bike around it. Yeah.
Right next to River Park.
You bet. Yeah.
The rest of the park, anything at all?
Of course, the pool.
Yes.
That was a huge part of our childhood.
R.I.P. the pool.
I know. Yeah. And it's too bad, but I mean, I understand the thing was probably built in the late 50s.
Yeah, 55. It was built in the year you were born.
Okay. So I was 10, 11 when we would go there.
Yep.
If I remember right, it was 20 cents to get in, of which we would gladly give them our 2 dimes and get in. Naturally, you could swim for 50 minutes and then get out for 10. I think that's so the lifeguards could
they need a break.
Breather.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
And the playground there, just the good old school merry-go-round, the leg breakers, the slides, the strangest, almost triangular shaped slide.
Yes.
I would love to see a picture of because it was different than anything you'd ever seen.
So I tell you what, that's the same playground equipment that was there when I was a child. So
you may remember that slide.
100%. So that was all there before they built Kids Kingdom. And if you remember, they built Kids Kingdom, I think I was like 13 or something. It was like the very, very early 90s. And so that's when they tore down that old playground equipment that you're talking about. And it was literally an oblong, weird triangle it was not like a equilateral that was equal, all sides equal. It was more, I don't know what you'd classify it, but it was a hot metal slide that had not just a sliver of metal you slid down. It was like a giant wide metal, and it got hot.
It was 10, 12 feet wide. And to get up it, you would run and you would grab that heavy duty railing along the side.
I remember that.
3 inches. Oh, good. That's great.
And in the past year or so, somebody has shared a picture, not of that specific slide, but a similar slide in a different park. I'll look it up.
But yeah,
it's just one of those old school
you bet. Yeah,
slides there.
Definitely remember it.
Yep.
Yeah.
A brief word from one of our sponsors. I want to thank the Mishawaka Historical Museum for helping to support our content, and I couldn't be happier to help support them and to continue to share the good word about the museum. I highly recommend that our listeners visit, and I promise that you'll learn something new about our area's history. You'll experience what is hands down the most comprehensive collection of artifacts and historical background, all specific to Mishawaka, Indiana. You will learn tons from the artifacts and corresponding information. You'll learn how early industry was crucial to Mishawaka, Cam and Schellinger Brewery, Ball Band, and Dodge Manufacturing, to name a few. You'll learn about famous Mishawakans, including professional baseball player Freddie Fitzsimmons or Coach Marvin Wood, the coach depicted in the movie Hoosiers, who also coached at Mishawaka High School as well. Speaking of Mishawaka schools, there's a whole section dedicated to the history of schooling in Mishawaka, including some real neat old uniforms, banners, and photographs. Speaking of photographs, the museum contains one-of-a-kind pictures depicting a variety of Mishawaka subjects, each with a caption explaining more about it. In the military heritage section, you'll learn about Mishawaka's role over the years in helping to keep our country free. In the historic landmarks section, you'll see some amazing pictures and artifacts from historical Mishawaka landmarks, some still standing and some that were sadly lost to time. There's also a section dedicated to the importance of churches and religion to the city. And if you ever have any questions about any of the artifacts or information the museum contains, Pete DeKeever, the president and curator of the museum, is an absolute tank of knowledge about Mishawaka, and he is there to answer any specific questions you have or to provide more background to any of the museum's artifacts. If you and a group of friends or family are looking for something to do and want a guided tour, the museum offers those as well. Again, folks, I highly encourage you to visit the Mishawaka Historical Museum. You don't need to plan an all-day visit. 1 or 2 hours is all you need to experience everything that I mentioned above and much, much more. They're open Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. For only a $5 entrance fee, $3 for children 6 to 18, and free for 5 years and younger, you can experience a local gem of a place at 121 South Main Street, just south of the Lincoln Way and Main Street intersection. When you stop in, tell them that you heard about the museum on our podcast. Again, I'm very excited to be spreading the good word and encouraging you all to visit. To learn more, visit their website at www.mishawakamuseum.org, or the link is also in our show notes. And now, back to the episode. Were there any unique characters at all, like from in River Park back in the day, that stand out in your mind?
Yep, there sure were. And man, I feel so bad. We literally had a neighborhood drunk.
Yeah.
And now, in retrospect, I feel so bad. What a problem.
Of course.
What a life. But yeah, he would literally walk down the sidewalk with a lawnmower running as he would walk back to his place. Or he would ride his horribly beat up bicycle back and forth because he was drunk.
Right.
It's the only character of that sort.
Right.
We would make fun.
Of course.
I mean,
You're a kid.
I regret that, but it is what it is.
Yeah, of course.
And I certainly hope that his family was able to
help him.
No idea what finally happened in the end.
Yep.
But that, and then other true characters, there were, we all had there. I mean, there were our class clown types.
Yeah.
It was nothing as sad as I'm not even going to name his name.
Right, you don't need to.
But there were some goofballs. There's no doubt about that.
Yep.
But none that stuck out.
Right. Were there any, you don't need to name names either, but any bullies or any like tough kids in RP that?
There certainly were.
Yeah.
As you know, I was on 32nd and the Avenue. There was a family over on 33rd down a little bit. Very tough boys.
Yeah.
Man, but the saving grace was they were 4 and 5, maybe 6 years older than me.
Too old to really pick on you.
Yeah. We knew of them. They had cars. I mean, we were 10 and 11.
Yeah.
We would hear stories. I was the youngest of 2. My friends were the youngest of several. So their siblings knew these guys.
Yeah.
And then years later, I would talk to, one of the older guys, not one of the toughs, is my brother-in-law.
Yeah.
And we would talk through the years. Yeah, Steve.
Yeah.
And he would tell me about the brothers. And man, oh man, even he would stay away from them. Of course, the good thing about Steve could run like a deer.
Okay.
I mean, he was
fast.
fleet-footed as heck. He told me stories of when they would play tackle football at Potawatomi Park.
Yeah.
And again, his thing was he could outrun anybody.
Yeah.
So he didn't get slaughtered by them. Yep.
Speaking of some interesting characters, speaking of some bullies in the neighborhood, when I was growing up, the River Park had a little reputation and had some nicknames, river rats, stuff like that. Was that a thing in the 60s?
You bet. Yeah, the term river rats, and by the way, I never found the term river rat endearing.
Oh, so you thought it was more of a degrading thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what we used to hear it as, was more degrading.
Exactly. Now, you'll find those that find it, like I said, endearing.
Okay.
The way I saw it, I lived on Mishawaka Avenue.
Okay.
the north side of Mishawaka Avenue. In my estimation, river rats were south of the avenue.
Oh, I see.
So I suppose if I'd have grown up on Vine Street,
yes,
the river rats would have been south of Vine Street.
I got you.
That's how that worked.
Okay.
But and there were some tough characters, come to think of it, that were my age, give or take. Coincidentally, they lived down beyond Pleasant Street.
Yeah.
Otherwise, just like anywhere, most kids were great.
Of course.
They were good. There were a billion kids.
Yep.
There were so many groups of kids that you could live there your whole life and not even hang out with.
Nuts.
Yeah. So that's the story on the river rats. Never did care for it.
Speaking of the river, did you guys ever head down there?
We goofed around down there, never went in it. Others, like guys that lived down there.
That's crazy.
I mean, they would swing on the rope swing.
There was rope swing from the hill swinging out into the St. Joe River?
on a tree over there, you bet. I think even Uncle Steve had done that.
I'm sure, yeah.
I never did.
Okay.
Of course, your mom never did. Grandpa had his daughters afraid of the water. I do remember one time I was down there goofing around with one of the buddies, Dave or Randy or somebody, and I slipped into the river. Yeah, and it was a cold fall day, and I was only in up to my waist.
Still.
Oh my God, that was freezing. Of course, my natural instinct was to head home and hop in a hot tub, which is exactly what I did.
And if that was the 1960s, that was probably at the more peak-ish of that river's pollutant, the nastiness.
You bet. Ball band let out plenty of stuff into it. Whether they say they did or didn't,
they did.
I'm sure they did.
Yeah.
You bet.
Do you? I just thought of this when you were talking. So there was all the kids there, all the kids running around the neighborhood. You were just a bit too young for the Vietnam War.
Yes.
Do you have any remembrances, anything about neighborhood kids heading away to war or a vibe in the neighborhood? Do you remember anything about that? What you're about to hear in response to this impromptu question is a real silence. When I say, okay, that's me acknowledging my dad putting his finger up, saying like, I need a moment. Okay.
Wow. Yeah.
You want to talk about it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I didn't even know him. But there was a boy named Butch Miller.
Okay.
And I say boy, young man. He was killed in Vietnam. He lived on 31st Street, right next to some friends of mine. I didn't know them at the time, named the Liddells. But Butch was killed in Vietnam. And the day of his funeral or around that time, all the homes on 31st Street flew the flag.
Wow.
And that was very sad.
Yeah.
And I had seen the Vietnam War on TV.
Yep.
This was the first war that was brought to our living rooms, as they say.
Of course.
We would see clips of it and death counts and whatnot. And I don't even know what year it was. But that was incredibly sad.
Wow. And that question just popped in my head because here we're talking about all these kids everywhere just out up and down the avenue at noon or flying in the river, bullying kids on bikes. And then
you bet.
And then the impact that war had just on that little River Park neighborhood was the same times 100 all over the country, you know?
You bet. In fact, Uncle Steve.
Yeah, he went.
He went to Vietnam.
Yeah.
He knew Butch Miller. Yeah, thank God Uncle Steve came back.
Yes, exactly.
But both of Butch's younger brothers, Don, who would have been, I think, Uncle Steve's age, and Bob, who was 2 years older than me, my brother's age, they both joined the Marines.
Wow.
Just as their big brother had.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. Ooh. All right.
Yeah.
See, that was a good question on my part. My God. See, I feel like a big J journalist.
Yeah, it certainly was. I was hoping for a few more softballs, to be honest.
That's the one that popped in my head, and then I forgot it, and then it popped back in, and I wrote it down because I didn't even think of it. Hell, that's good. I'm proud of myself.
I'm proud of you, too.
No.
Who are your parents again?
You wrapped up the chapter about River Park by restating what you wrote in the beginning. Quote, "It was a town within a town and had everything a kid growing up in the 60s would want and more. And in case you're wondering about the and more, the girl I met in the summer of 1966 and fell in love with in 1972 and married in 75. So my question is, who is this mystery girl and what happened to her?"
Oh, that is fantastic. Man, oh man. One day in the early summer of 1966, my buddy Randy and I were playing at a buddy's house on 31st Street there, and these two girls come walking down the avenue, barefoot, as if they were coming from the Tasty Freeze. And Randy said to me, "Hey, see those girls? Yeah. Want to chase them?" And by God, we did. And we became friends. And the four of us, along with Dave and Dwayne and some others, hung around that whole summer together. Played Graveyard Ghost, went up to their places on 31st Street, listened to music. It was fantastic. And then, don't you know, we basically didn't say boo for the next 6 years.
Nice.
Until right before I was a senior in high school. Yeah, that was Kim Geyer.
And who is
Emery.
she?
Kim Emery now. She is your mom and your children's Nana.
And my children's grandma. You're exactly right.
Got that right.
Yep. So you met her in 1966, and you guys just celebrated your 50th wedding anniversary this past June.
We sure did.
And if it weren't for the neighborhood of River Park, you wouldn't have met her. She wouldn't have met you. You wouldn't have been married. I definitely wouldn't be here, and we wouldn't be sitting together in this basement right now recording a podcast about it.
You are exactly right.
So we owe a lot to the neighborhood of River Park.
That we sure do.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Oh, you are very welcome.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for listening to another episode of Round the Bend Now and Then. A big thank you to my dad, Joel Emery, for spending some time sharing your memories of your youth growing up. Be sure to follow us on all of our social media channels and also visit our sponsors. Join us again next time as we learn more about South Bend and Mishawaka's Now and Then.